Gucci already a fail without even getting its feet off the ground? In September of this year, we saw Sabato De Sarno's first collection as the new creative director for Gucci, and it was met with a divide. Okay, it was a very divisive show. This brought with it a rebrand of Gucci, a very different side to the brand that is what we've grown accustomed to over the last sort of previous 7 years. Now, in November of 2022, it was announced that Alessandro Michele, creative director of Gucci at the time, was going to be moving on. Whilst we have no actual idea as to why this has happened, he had been with the brand since 2015, and with that had brought a very strong identity of what Gucci was, okay? It felt like he came out of nowhere, flipped Gucci on its head, did something crazy, and that is what we now know of the brand. Guys, if you are new here, my name is Cassie and I'm a self-diagnosed luxury addict. I put out videos on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, so if you like luxury fashion, then you're going to love it here. So head down there, subscribe, turn on the bell, become a member of our luxury addicted family. When are we going to rehab? Never. With his new rebrand for Gucci, brought with it much success, okay? Now, if we're going to get into the weeds, if we're going to get into the numbers of it all, I've done a bit of research. Basically, he was introduced into the brand, well, no, he was already in the brand. He was creative director from 2015. In 2016, revenues for Gucci were like 4.3 billion. They kept growing and growing and growing. There was only one dip in 2020. 2019 revenues were 9.6 billion, 2020 7.4, 2021 9.7, 2022 10.4. All of these numbers are from Statista. Now, the thing is that, just to put this into context, right, Kering, the group that own Gucci, their second best performing brand after Gucci is Saint Laurent, and in 2022 they made like 3 billion in revenue. You know, yeah, there's a 10 point and there's a 3. You know, there's a massive gap. This isn't like, oh, just by a hair Gucci are barreling ahead. This is an obvious and significant difference, right? And Gucci has always been Kering's cash cow. Like I mentioned, we don't know exactly why, who decided it was time to move on, blah, blah, blah. I heard 2 rumours. The one rumour being that growth had slowed slightly and they'd wanted to go in a different direction with Gucci, hence getting rid of Alessandro and going with somebody else. The other rumour I've heard is that they wanted to do a lot of reorganisation within the company, which meant giving some of his roles to other departments or other people, and Alessandro Michele is very known for being very hands-on, very involved in the weeds of it, wants to know absolutely everything that's happening everywhere, and because of that, he then decided it was time to move on. We have no idea. But what is undeniable is that what Gucci was and what Alessandro was bringing to Gucci was unlike anything else in luxury. There is no other brand that was giving that level of weird and wonderful. So, new creative director comes along. Alongside this, there are lots of other changes happening within the company, okay? By the way, this is all background. I'm building the blocks here before we get to what is the reaction to new Gucci, can it perform, what are Gucci's goals, all of that. We're going to go into it, okay? But stick with me. This is the weeds. There's a lot of change happening internally. So we've got Alessandro Michele out. We also have the CEO, Marco Bizzarri. He left. And more recently, it was announced that Massimo Rigucci, excellent name to be working at Gucci, Gucci, love it, who was head of industrial operations of leather goods, footwear and jewellery, is also leaving. Other sort of key designers left, namely, RIP, absolutely tragic, David Wren, who had just been appointed creative director of Moschino. He was the design director for women's wear at Gucci, and sadly, after that announcement, had a heart attack and really awfully passed away. But again, that is a role that apparently, I mean, as far as I know, hasn't been filled. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of people leaving, deciding to leave, whatever, being moved out. We don't know. The new collection showed in September. Undeniably, there was a lot of eyes on it. There was a lot of scrutiny. It was the second most viewed Spring/Summer 2024 fashion show. Now, there is an excellent Business of Fashion article that highlights 5 key areas that, like, summarise the show, right? And this is according to a panel of experts. Generally, the feeling was that it fell flat. Number 1, it was a clear shift from Alessandro Michele. Yes, I think that we can all agree on that. Number 2, they presented a coherent project, avoiding the trap of trying to please everyone. An example of this is like Riccardo Tisci at Burberry. Okay, I'm gonna throw him under the bus. But yeah, okay, fine. Number 3, the collection is more commercial, and I think that's, you know, due to the simplicity, very minimalist aspects of the collection. I will get more into this. Number 4, not enough originality to fuel a new Gucci dream. This is interesting, and I'm going to get into this a little bit more, but when it comes to luxury, there's a lot of world building that goes into it. This isn't a transaction. This is you're buying into the brand, how that brand makes you feel, what that brand means, what the Gucci girl is, for example, right? There's a lot of world building that goes around that. And they felt like this first collection didn't do as much to kind of build that. Fine. And lastly, the move to a more classic, upmarket and timeless aesthetic pits Gucci against more credible incumbents, while the brand has historically proven to perform better when it's over the top. I think this is the best comment, and this is my biggest concern, because you are competing against a plethora of brands that have been doing the quiet luxury, the minimalist, the pared back vibes, have come to be known for this by consumers. This is a different level of competition. Before, Gucci felt very much in their own lane, right? You go to them for this, there is nobody else that is competing. Now they're taking themselves out of that and going, okay, we're now going head to head with, if we even look in-house at Kering, something like Saint Laurent. Even if you look at the shoes that were presented in the Spring/Summer 2024 collection, a slingback pointed toe, it's very Eddie Slimane for YSL. Like, there's a lot of sort of similarities because you're competing in this new group of brands, right? Obviously, what these brands are the most bothered about is their commercial success. This is coming from somebody who, like, I just kind of get my knowledge from experience and what I sort of think, and avidly consuming and reading about luxury fashion and all of that. I think the commercial success pieces of this collection, or that they are wanting to hope will be commercial successes. Number 1, the platform loafers. I think that even if you look at recently, they've done a big push behind the Gucci loafer campaign. I think doing this in a different way, in a platform, making it a bit more quote-unquote modern, doing it in a different variation. It was the majority of the shoes throughout the 2024 collection. I see them doing a big push for this. I think they're hinging on a lot of success from that. Number 2, these kind of jersey grey hoodies. The most simple of the simple, the most nothing of the nothing. I think that because they are so simple and nothing, they do maybe have the capacity to do very well. Gucci tank, I think the same thing for. If we look at something like the success of the Loewe anagram tank, oh my gosh, you can barely keep them in the stores. They have become such a sort of luxury staple. And then, of course, you have the bags. They presented a load of new crossbody styles, shoulder bag styles, but there was a lot of focus on the Jackie bag in different variations. The Gucci Horsebit 1947, the little top handle. The other thing that I found really interesting, right, and we will see how this all links together, is that in this collection there were a lot of exotics, okay? A lot of python bags, croc bags. There was a full head-to-toe python look, okay? Ready to wear, my loves. And as we know, exotic is a different level, it's a different price point, okay? Whereas a Jackie bag before is, what, $2,000 to $3,000? If you're looking at exotic, okay, she's 5, 6, 7. So, 6, 7 probably, not 5. Even the non-exotic, like the crystal caged items, and obviously this is runway. In between runway and when it hits the stores, there's going to be a load of like bulking out of the bags, of the shoes, that are obviously pieces that we didn't see from the runway. But I'm just going to highlight those pieces because those are the ones we know of. Pricing is a big part of this, obviously. Especially if we look at something like Daniel Lee for Burberry. Burberry has also gone through a rebrand, okay? We saw a completely different change in vibe, and with that has come a completely different price point that we are now seeing. It's a bit too early to see whether or not New Burberry is successful. I think that I would just like to go out there and put all my chips on black and say, do you want to know what? I don't think it is. Especially not for the first collection, because that price jump is steep. That isn't just like a little, oh, let's just knock them up and they won't notice. This is a, oh, I used to buy Burberry avidly and now like, what's going on here? And Gucci's superpower has always been its range of pricing. It's had, you know, those sort of quote-unquote entry-level first designer bags, accessories, all of that, all the way through to the staunch, ready-to-wear exotics customer. At the very least, at least Sabato De Sarno's path and vision is very clear. Its success will hinge on the bags and the shoes. Again, at the bottom of that Business of Fashion article, it kind of mentioned people's initial reactions, right? So apparently on TikTok, the loafers campaign went quite, you know, down quite well, all of that. However, China is a really big market for Gucci, and it seems as though the initial reaction wasn't particularly favourable for new Gucci. Now, I managed to find Gucci's presentation about like their new vision, their goals, kind of from 2022 onwards, and it was fascinating. Part of the reason why they want to increase interest in ready-to-wear is to elevate the brand, right? As we know, a lot of these brands make the most of their money from leather goods, accessories, all of that. Ready-to-wear tends to be quite a small portion, but when you have a brand that has a lot of ready-to-wear clients, that does kind of quote-unquote elevate the brand a bit to lock in a sort of different level, shall we say, of consumer. But they are also sort of saying that they want to focus on bringing in more of the aspirational young luxury consumer. That's going to hinge a lot on pricing. That is going to hinge a lot on being able to have a decent enough range of quote-unquote starter luxury bags, leather goods, accessories, things like that, and the prices that are coming with those. But still focusing on their more mature clients through ready-to-wear. They also have said that they want to focus on menswear more and travel, because there's a lot of like growth opportunity there. Now, what's very interesting is they have this little triangle Gucci bag hierarchy, okay? So right at the top, their Birkin is the Jackie 1961. You then have the Bamboo 1947, the Diana bag, the Horsebit 1955, the Dionysus, and then you have the Gucci Marmont range, right? That is your sort of introductory Gucci customer. They also, because of that sort of brand positioning, want to elevate precious leather goods. They want to increase that a bit more. That's where the exotics are coming in. That's why we're seeing more of those on the runway. And then they covered pricing. Pricing is going up on everything. Yes. Now, it took me a while to figure out HBG. Are we assuming that that is handbags? That's going up. But then, what about the aspirational consumer? What about that, you know, still making sure to capture or to increase the number of young luxury consumers getting into the game wanting to buy Gucci? That's where I feel like there's a discrepancy here. This graph doesn't seem to be particularly accurate. It's not giving any numbers, it's not giving any percentage, but it does look like the trajectory is up. And then later on in the presentation it says protect aspirational price points. This is something that I hope that they keep coming back to, but the picture that they put here are sunglasses. Listen, as much as I love my pair of Gucci sunglasses, I would much prefer if the bag points were protected, and less the sunglasses. If you buy a pair of sunglasses from a brand, I don't know if it provides that affinity to the brand of something like a bag or a pair of shoes. I don't know. Is that weird? Am I just making things up? Unclear. But either way, I'm gonna talk. I just feel as though Gucci is very much in the state of flux. Everything's happening all at once, everybody's leaving, new people are coming in, they also have a completely new vision for the brand, they're also wanting to focus on this, this and this, and less of that and that and that, and it's just going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out, especially now since we know a more clear idea of their goals. I also think that in general, this is a bit of an odd time to be making all these changes when there's so much happening with a luxury slowdown and stuff like that. It's like now is the time that you want to be chopping and changing. Look, I'm not the CEO, okay? I'm not there deep in the corporates of Gucci or any of these luxury brands to know anything about what I'm talking about, but I would sort of be a little bit more, don't know what. If all this is going on, how about we stick to what we know for a little bit? And again, I might look back on this and go, this is exactly why I'm not a CEO, because, oh, that was an incredible move, and look at them now, and all of that, right? It's going to be interesting to see how they bulk out the rest of the collection when it's time to come into stores. It's going to be interesting to see the pricing. What do you think? Do you think it's a good idea? What do you think about the new vision? Do you think you'll be purchasing? Do you think that this change means that you would be more interested in the brand? All of that, let me know. Okay, speak your piece. I'm going to leave a link to another video over here in case you haven't already seen it. Have an amazing morning, afternoon or evening wherever you are, and in the words of my father,
if you've enjoyed it, tell your friends. If you haven't, keep your mouth shut.
I will see you in my next video. Mwah. Bye guys.